Hello and welcome. You have tuned into World Business Report here on News 9 Live, where we get you all the latest in the world of business, economy, finance, technology, entertainment, and more from all across the world. I'm Krishna Kumar. And we begin with the latest from the global tech industry. The specter of layoffs looms large again, casting a shadow over the tech workforce as news of job cuts emerges with disheartening frequency. In the tumultuous year of 2024, the sector finds itself embroiled in a relentless cycle of restructuring, with the reports of fresh layoffs surfacing every month. According to the latest data, a website dedicated to tracking employment called Layoff FYI, a staggering 58,499 employees have been affected by layoffs across 237 tech companies so far this year. The giants of Silicon Valley, including the likes of Apple, Microsoft, Dell, and Amazon, have found themselves in the throes of this turbulent restructuring process despite having already undertaken significant workforce reductions in the preceding years. The first quarter of the year 2024 witnessed the inception of these short cycles of job cuts, and as the month of April unfolds, the trend shows no signs of abating. Apple sent shockwaves through the industry by announcing the dismissal of over 600 employees, signaling a continuation of their cost-cutting initiatives. Following suit was Microsoft with their own cost-cutting measures. Meanwhile, Amazon, a stalwart in the realm of e-commerce and cloud computing, has been steadily shedding jobs on a monthly basis, with April proving to be no exception. And keeping it to tech giants, Meta's chief Mark Zuckerberg has ascended past Elon Musk to claim the coveted third spot in the Bloomberg Billionaires Index. According to the index, Zuckerberg's net worth now stands at an impressive $186.9 billion, while Elon Musk trails slightly behind at $180.6 billion. This shift in rankings comes amidst major fluctuations in the stock market, particularly in the tech sector. In a surprising turn of events, Tesla, the electric car company helmed by Musk, experienced a staggering 34% plunge in its stock value, marking it as the worst performing stock in the S&P 500 index on Wall Street. On the flip side, Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp, has witnessed a remarkable surge of 49% in its stock value. This divergence in performance has played a pivotal role in reshuffling the rankings of these tech titans. Musk's descent to the fourth position on the Bloomberg Billionaires Index is attributed to recent developments surrounding Tesla. Reports emerged that Tesla had scrapped plans for a more affordable car, which led to a downturn in the company's stock prices. Despite Musk's denial of those reports, the damage already been done, resulting in a 1.5% drop in Tesla shares by 1 p.m. of trading on Friday in New York. Meanwhile, in a bold move, Elon Musk has called for the removal of a Brazilian Supreme Court justice, accusing him of censorship. Elon Musk alleges Justice Alexandre de Moraes brazenly betrayed the Constitution and the people of Brazil. The series of scathing attacks against the Brazilian justice began on Saturday evening as the SpaceX chief took to his platform X, formerly known as Twitter, and stated, and I quote him here, "We will probably lose all revenue in Brazil and have to shut down our office there," unquote. Elon Musk alleged that Alexandre de Moraes was threatening to cut off access to the platform X and said, "But principles matter more than profit." Meanwhile, on Sunday, the Brazilian Supreme Court justice opened an inquiry into Elon Musk, accusing him of obstructing justice through his platform X, and that's according to a court document. Meanwhile, in a major development for the Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump's campaign, a major fundraiser held in Florida over the weekend yielded an impressive $50.5 million. This fundraising event stands as the largest of its kind for Donald Trump, signaling a crucial effort to bolster his campaign's financial resources as he gears up for a rematch against Democrat and current President Joe Biden. The substantial sum generated from this event comes as a much-needed boost for Trump, who has been consistently outpaced in fundraising efforts by Biden. Trump now finds himself navigating a financial squeeze exacerbated by mounting legal fees and settlements stemming from his involvement in both criminal and civil court cases. The fundraiser, hosted at the lavish Palm Beach residence of billionaire hedge fund manager John Paulson, caught significant attention. A portion of the funds raised will now be allocated to a fundraising group dedicated to covering Trump's substantial legal expenses, which have become a prominent feature of his post-presidential endeavors. Time now to get you a roundup of all the big stories from across the world in terms of numbers, from Tesla's stock plunge to Taylor Swift's wealth surge. Take a look at this.
From a big skid at Tesla to a big bank balance for Taylor Swift, this is the week in numbers. 8.5% was the fall in vehicle deliveries by Tesla over the first quarter, the firm's first quarterly decline in nearly 4 years. The EV pioneer has been hit by headwinds, including fierce competition in China. Its shares are now down around a third this year as the challenges mount. Over 100,000 was how many orders Xiaomi had for its first EV within days of going on sale. The strong debut by Tesla's latest rival drove shares in the firm as much as 16% higher on Tuesday. But analysts have concerns, saying Xiaomi is making a big loss on every vehicle it sells. 21% was the one-day plunge in shares for Donald Trump's media firm after it revealed big losses for last year. Even so, it's still worth around $6 billion, despite reporting negligible revenues. The stock has seemingly been supported by retail investors, eager to back the former US president. 132 years was the lifespan of giant conglomerate General Electric, once America's most valuable firm. This week, it's completed a move to split into 3 separate firms focused on aerospace, energy, and healthcare. And $1.1 billion is now the net worth of pop star Taylor Swift, according to Forbes. It's the first time she's officially been ranked among the world's billionaires. Topping its latest list is LVMH boss Bernard Arnault and family at $233 billion. Elon Musk is second on $195 billion.
Away from that to the European Central Bank. From the European Central Bank's crucial meeting to promising signs in China's economy. Here's what you can watch out for in the world of business and finance in the week coming up ahead. Take a look.
From whether the ECB will show a green light for rate cuts to promising signs in China's economy, these are the stories to watch for in business and finance over the coming days. The European Central Bank meets on Thursday. Traders see a nearly 100% chance of a 25 basis point cut in June, and a flurry of policymakers have explicitly signaled that's the date of a first move. So a green light is crucial to uphold market sentiment. The question now is how explicit policymakers will be. Quarterly reports from major banks kick off earnings season. Companies are expected to post a 5% year-on-year rise in Q1 earnings, according to LSEG data. JP Morgan Chase, Citigroup, and Wells Fargo all report results on April 12th. Delta Airlines and BlackRock are also slated to provide updates. Promising signs of a long-awaited turnaround in China's economy keep building. The Shanghai Composite recently enjoyed its biggest rally in a month. That was followed by numbers showing an acceleration in service activity. Consumer and producer price indexes are due on Thursday and trade data on Friday. Rate setters elsewhere in the world are sandwiching the ECB. Canada and New Zealand meet on Wednesday, Singapore and South Korea on Friday. No rate changes are anticipated, but traders want a sense of when rate cuts will come and how policymakers will navigate a delicate balancing act.
Shifting focus to Wall Street, where stocks ended the week on a high note, fueled by a robust jobs report in the US that suggested a healthy US economy and delayed interest rate cuts by the US Federal Reserve. Tesla, the electronic vehicle maker, faced a setback, dropping nearly 4% on reports of it cancelling its most affordable car model, impacting its future growth trajectory. Conversely, donut maker Krispy Kreme saw a surge after a brokerage upgraded its stock rating to overweight. This Reuters report tells you all about it.
U.S. stocks finished higher on Friday after a strong jobs report reinforced the view that the economy remains healthy, even as it suggested the Federal Reserve could delay cutting interest rates. The Dow climbed 0.8%, the S&P 500 added 1.1%, and the Nasdaq rose 1.25%. U.S. Labor Department data showed employers hired far more workers in March than expected and kept steadily lifting wages, suggesting the economy ended the first quarter on solid ground. Money markets are now pricing in around 2 rate cuts this year, down from 3 a few weeks ago, according to LSEG. CBiz Chief Investment Officer Anna Rathbun called the economy resilient, but worries about the continued move higher for stocks.
When the market continues to go up as it has, it makes people like me very nervous because nothing goes up forever. And that also pushes up the valuation in terms of the price to earnings ratio. And it remains very high by historical standards. Now, the question then is, will earnings environment be friendly going forward? And that's a big question mark.
Stocks on the move included Tesla, which dropped more than 3.5% following a Reuters report that the electric car maker had canceled its inexpensive car that was expected to drive its growth into a mass-market automaker. And shares of Krispy Kreme added more than 7% after broker Piper Sandler upgraded the donut maker's stock to overweight from neutral.
In the month of March, employers in the US exceeded expectations by adding a robust 303,000 jobs, signaling a strong close to the first quarter of the year 2024. This surge in hiring, revealed in the latest Labor Department report of the US, suggests a healthy American economy and potentially delays anticipated in interest rate cuts by the US Central Bank, US Federal Reserve. This report tells you more.
U.S. employers hired far more workers than expected in March and continued to lift wages at a steady clip. That's according to the jobs report released Friday by the Labor Department, which suggested the economy ended the first quarter on solid ground and could delay an anticipated interest rate cut from the Federal Reserve. Non-farm payrolls rose 303,000 last month, well above the highest estimate by economists polled by Reuters. Job gains in the previous 2 months were revised higher. The healthcare, government, and construction sectors added the most jobs. The unemployment rate fell slightly to 3.8%. Average hourly earnings rose 0.3% from the previous month and 4.1% on a year-on-year basis. Though still high, that was down from 4.3% in February. Wage growth in the 3 to 3.5% range is seen as consistent with the Fed's 2% inflation target. Inflation by most measures is running above that target. Financial markets have dialed back their expectations of a June rate cut and now see about a 55% chance that will happen. Fed Chair Jerome Powell reiterated earlier this week that the central bank was in no rush to reduce borrowing costs after leaving its policy rate unchanged in March. Stocks were higher in late morning trading.
Away from all of that to thousands of protesters who rallied in Jerusalem demanding the release of around 130 hostages still held in Gaza after 6 months of Israel's war against Hamas.
We're here today because we want everybody to be aware that this is still happening, and we're still hoping that its solution will be like any minute. We don't have time. Nama has no time.
Right now, it's 184 days in captivity. It can be. The world should condemn it. The world should stand and to be with Israel against Hamas and to do anything that they can do to help us. And for our government, we demand them to do things as soon as possible and not to waste time.
Here tonight to light a candle for all the hostages that are gone. My brother's a lone soldier, so all the soldiers that are currently serving and fighting in Gaza, it's absolutely terrifying. All the families, all the lives that we lost during this time. We just wanted to come and light a candle for them.
Paul Kagame, the president of Rwanda, solemnly declared that the tragic events of the past which led to genocide would never be allowed to resurface in the country's political landscape. On the 7th of April, 1994, over 100 days of horror unfolded as the Tutsis and Hutus were mercilessly massacred by Hutu extremists, aided by the Rwandan army. Take a look at this.
Our journey has been long and tough. Rwanda was completely humbled by the magnitude of our loss. And the lessons we learned are engraved in blood. But the tremendous progress of our country is plain to see, and it is a result of the choices we made together to resurrect our nation.
People from around the world have journeyed to Seattle in the US this week to commemorate Kurt Cobain, marking 30 years since his passing. The iconic Nirvana frontman died tragically from a self-inflicted gunshot wound on the 5th of April 1994 at the young age of 27.
People from around the world have traveled to Seattle this week to honor Kurt Cobain 30 years after his death. The Nirvana frontman died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head on April 5, 1994. He was 27. Fan Brad Graham traveled from British Columbia, Canada to pay his respects at this memorial, known by many as Kurt Cobain's Bench. It's located in a park adjacent to Cobain and his wife Courtney Love's final home together.
Was definitely in my early 20s, and I was confused about life and what I wanted out of it. A lot of that resonated with me. A lot of the frustration in the music, that resonated with me a lot.
Juan Prado Teno is visiting the U.S. for the first time from Chile for the occasion.
To me, the music of Nirvana is a music, sincerely music, and punk music to me is like the way of being alive. Is a way of life to me, Nirvana.
But for people that call Seattle home, the grief hits deeper, says Kurt Cobain biographer and Seattle music historian Charles Cross.
I think the legacy of Kurt Cobain is multifaceted. There's the personal legacy for people like me who knew him and knew his music and saw the band, and that's the loss of a human being, and that is an extra layer of grief for that. And I think all of Seattle feels that. We felt like he was ours.
Nirvana dominated rock music and pop culture in the early 1990s.
In 2014, Cobain was posthumously inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame along with his bandmates Dave Grohl and Chris Novoselic.
Away from all of that, it's time now to discover the scenic beauty of Gangdongwu Street, a dual 6-lane road leading to the seaside in Dalian in northeast China's Liaoning province. This 1.5 kilometer long stretch has become a popular tourist attraction, offering breathtaking sea views as cruise ships and vessels pass by. With temporary traffic control measures and designated photography areas in place, hundreds of visitors are now flocking to this part of the world to capture memorable moments while being safe at the same time. And that's all we have time for in this edition of World Business Report. Thank you so much for watching. This is Krishna Kumar signing off.